Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Friday, March 8, 2019 talk show. Say what you need to say. This is a new talk show for 2019 where you get to call in and actually say what you need to say about the topics that we're going to discuss this year. I got 3 topics that we're going to discuss tonight. Of course, everybody knows about LeBron James passing MJ for the all-time scoring list. We got a little Boston Red Sox news that I think you guys would love to hear about. And also we're going to talk about the Braves 2019 season that's about to be underway after spring training. Tonight we have a caller out of Phoenix City, Alabama. His name is Mr. Ward Henry. Mr. Henry, are you with us?
Oh, yeah, Gary.
Hey, man, I appreciate you joining the show tonight. And what I want you to do while you're on the call, I want you to say what you need to say about these topics. You know, keep it clean, but I want you to really give us your opinion and your thoughts on these 3 topics tonight. We're going to start off with the NBA and Mr. LeBron James, Mr. Hollywood. This guy is unbelievable. This guy is 4th on the list now after passing MJ. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Karl Malone, and Kobe Bryant are ahead of him. And who knows where LeBron is going to go with this. I know the Lakers right now are struggling. It looks like that they might not make the playoffs this year. LeBron has not made the playoffs in 2 of his years he's been playing in the NBA. But it's a learning curve, and LeBron makes guys better around him. What are your thoughts on LeBron passing MJ? And also, what are your thoughts on if they don't make the playoffs, where you think they're going to go next year?
Well, first of all, they're not making the playoffs. They're 6 games out. Got too many teams to have to crawl over. Too many things have to fall into place. I think if you look at the analytics, I think the analytics says they have maybe a negative 1% chance of making the playoffs. So they're definitely not making the playoffs. I think that what the Lakers are going to have to decide, their decision as an organization, their decision is going to be for the rest of the year is, do they actually shut LeBron James down for the rest of the year? In other words, limit his minutes. And knowing that coming next year, their roster would be totally different than it is this year.
Right.
So it's definitely going to be Magic and Jimmy Buss and a couple other people. They're going to decide how they're going to handle this going forward.
I agree with you 100%, Mr. Henry. But you know what? I won't count LeBron James and the Lakers out. You know why? Because it was one year when he's with the Cleveland Cavaliers. They were down 3-1 against the powerhouse Golden State Warriors. And as we all know, everybody was on the same tune, the same boat. They're done. Put a fork in them. They're done. Next thing we know, Cleveland and LeBron were hoisting that trophy up. You don't think that there's a slight chance of this type of style that LeBron is used to repeating to try to force them into the playoffs? And I think they're 6 games back, or I'm not sure, but you don't think there's a slight chance?
Again, analytics says that they have a less than 1% chance to make playoffs. So, no, they ain't making the playoffs.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Henry.
That's just about line. They have too many other teams to crawl over. Too many other things have to fall in line. They just don't know it's over for them this year.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Henry. Analytics said nobody that was down 3-1 in the NBA Finals ever came back too, but Mr. James proved that wrong. Am I right?
Well, it wasn't just Mr. James. Mr. James doesn't have those same players around him in LA that he had with him, around him in Cleveland.
You're right.
Totally different.
Absolutely.
If you look at LA's roster, they don't. He had a Robin. He had Kyrie Irving. Right. Matter of fact, we can talk about how LeBron brought Cleveland a championship. Was it LeBron or was it really Kyrie Irving, that shot that they hit? Now, mind you,
right.
LeBron put him, he had a whole lot to do with them being in a position to win.
Right.
And in sports, as you know, that's all you can ask for is just to have an opportunity to win.
You're right.
And that's exactly what he put him up opportunity, gave them an opportunity to win. But Kyrie was the one who hit that big shot. So
Absolutely.
it takes a team. You know, LeBron is just one man.
You know what? You hit the nail on the head. But with a great team, there's always a great leader. We talk about the Magic Johnsons. We talk about the Larry Birds. We talk about the Karl Malones. All those teams like that always had a great leader. And I think at that, you know, in Cleveland, LeBron was that type of guy. And let's be honest, Kyrie Irving did hit that big shot, and he was a major component in that series and then winning that championship. And since you brought up Kyrie Irving, we're going to switch gears a little bit to talk about Mr. Kyrie Irving. But it's a person that has just made some comments about Kyrie and the way he's going about his business. Mr. Charles Barkley stated that he says that Kyrie Irving looks like the most miserable guy in the NBA he has seen. He actually, those are his quotes, not mine or yours, but those are his quotes. And now I can see Kyrie is not the same Kyrie when he was in Cleveland with LeBron, but this is what happens when you are the man. And now
that's right.
He has to figure a way to make his players better around him in order to get to where they want to get. What are your thoughts on Charles Barkley making these comments about him, though?
Well, no, he's exactly right. Being a leader, especially a leader among men, that's not easy. Everybody wants, like Mike Tyson said, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. And Kyrie, he sees that, you know, he thought that he wants to be his own man and he wants to be the man on a team. And when you find out that, shoot, it ain't as easy as you thought it was, you know, being a leader. First of all, to be a leader, you got to have some folks to follow you. Some folks that want to follow you.
Absolutely.
Just from everything that I've read, from the interviews, stuff that I've seen, his body language, if you heard the way that he talks to the media, he's not a happy camper.
Right.
But leaders, that's what they do. They take a whole lot of the blame. They also get a whole lot of credit too.
Absolutely.
But Kyrie, at this point, he wanted it. He said that he wanted it, but when he got an opportunity to get it, he found out that he really didn't want it.
There you go. Hey, Mr. Henry, you said a mouthful right there, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to agree with your comments and your thoughts about what you say. And I even agree with that as well. You know, it's a little different ball game when you're the man than when you're playing with the man. And I think Kyrie, he's going to be all right, but if he's not happy, they're going to have to do something about that. I'm just saying what I need to say about that. Is just my opinion, and you're saying what you need to say. But, you know, I think down the road, when he figures out how to lead a team, then I think you're going to see some of the best Celtic basketball, because when they got him, I was thinking like, wow, that's a great move. But obviously, it's not working out like that as of right now. Next topic we're going to move on to is the World Series champions Boston Red Sox got some news today that they were hit with a 80-game suspension for their knuckleball pitcher, Stephen Wright. Listen to me, people. I said a knuckleball pitcher, not a 98, 99 mile an hour gasser, but a knuckleball pitcher just got popped for 80 games for using PEDs and violated the drug violation policy. Wow. Mr. Henry, what do you have to say about that one?
Hey, man, knuckleballs need love too.
Hey, don't get me wrong. Hey, this guy, I really don't understand why a knuckleballer would need to take PEDs. But this is the quote that he says, and I don't know if I can agree with this. He says, quote unquote, that he can't figure out how it entered his body. Unfortunately, sometimes things get into your system. For me, in my opinion, that's kind of far-fetched. I think a professional athlete knows what goes in, how it goes in, and when it goes into his body, unless he was unconscious and just out of it and somebody put it in him. I just can't tend to believe that. What do you think about that, Mr. Henry?
Well, no, you know, I agree with you. It's just like the clear, and I think it was, he called it the clear and some other cream, same thing that Barry Bonner used. No, these guys are millionaires, been around the game long enough to know, as you said, what they're putting in their body.
Correct.
It just so happens that everybody thinks that their plan is better than somebody else's.
Right.
Maybe think that drug testing hasn't caught up to what they're doing, and I'm sure that Major League Baseball doesn't what they're testing for, where they know what they're testing for.
Right.
But some of the things that the way that they test or find out what these guys are taking, they're not telling these guys are taking a chance. And, to be honest with you, that's kind of, if you've seen some of these other pitchers who have, not just pitchers, but just players who have been busted in the past for taking PEDs, and then they serve the 80 games, and then they come back, and then they make it tens, and not argue the fact that PEDs doesn't work. Because these guys are getting second and third chances to come back and Major League Baseball and make a whole lot better living than you and myself.
Absolutely, Mr. Henry. And other news with Mr. Knuckleballer Stephen Wright. In 2016, he was an all-star at 33 years old. And last year, he got suspended 15 games for violating a domestic violence policy. I didn't know that, but that's what was stated on the internet. So this is his second time being suspended. But, for a knuckleballer to get suspended for PEDs, that's kind of crazy to me. Like I said, I know we want. I know we want to be at our top physical condition on the field, but come on, man. Me being a former major league player myself, I played with Tom Candiotti with the Dodgers, and Tom Candiotti, he had one of the best knuckleballs, but I would have bet that he would have never tried to put any PDs, but everybody had their reasons for doing what they do. So now the Red Sox are going to be without the knuckleballer for 80 games this year. So we hope he gets this cleared up and be able to be ready to help them to try to win another World Series. But we're going to move on to one of our topics tonight that's going to be the game-changing topic. We're going to talk about the 2019 Atlanta Braves season in Russia. And Mr. Henry, I think you mentioned earlier that you were a Braves fans and you really followed them really close. Now, the Braves have ignited a flame that is on fire from last year. They got these young bucks coming up. I personally was able to coach Ozzie Albies, Dansby Swanson in the minor leagues, and I saw Acuna come up through the Braves system when I was in the minor leagues last year, and that kid is special. I'm talking about he could be another coming of Andrew Jones and might be a little bit better, but this year is going to be a really exciting, looking forward to season. What are you looking for from the Braves this year in 2019?
First of all, to continue to keep the momentum that they built in last year, and I think that's what they're looking forward to also. But the deal is, you've got Washington, you've got Washington, you've got the Phillies, who have made tremendous strides in adding people and big name talent to their roster, whereas we, meaning the Braves, the only person that we've added to, especially in mine, is Donaldson at third base. So I know that the season hasn't started yet, spring training. We're in the middle of spring training, but as a fan, we as fans are panicking because the Braves have said for the last 3-4 years that 2019 was the season that they was clearing their books. All the bad contracts that they had would be gone. They've let it be known that they have money to spend. And I agree with them in the sense that you don't just spend money just to spend it. Just because you have it doesn't mean you spend it.
Right.
But But somebody who's been a Braves fan since I was 8, 9 years old.
Right.
It's just totally unacceptable. Where we at this point, we could definitely use a frontline starter. Fulton Davis is
well, if you
it's on his way to being a frontline starter, but to me, just my humble opinion, he's not there yet. We can definitely use Castle. He's still out there.
Okay,
We can use him. I know a lot of people want Kimbrel to come back, but I'm not even sold on Kimbrel. And I was just heartbroken as anybody else, Nick Braves fan, when we had to trade him along with I think Simmons. Just to try to clear some books because we had some bad contracts on the book, but we got some money that we need to be spending that the Braves and Fabulous did just not spend it, and nobody can understand why.
Mr. Henry, you sound like you've done a little general manager's work in your time. You said they got money, so you know what? You might be right because they did just give Josh Donaldson $23 million for 1 year to play third base. That's correct, right?
Absolutely.
And they did have a kid named Johan Camargo that pretty much solidified third base for them last night and had a stellar year. I think he had like 19 home runs and he hit very well. Hey, this kid is coming, and I was kind of puzzled by that signing, but everybody knows that their GM was with the Blue Jays when Donaldson was there, and he did win an MVP over there. So he probably sees something that others don't see since he had him before he got with the Braves. But do you think that Johan Camargo should have still been the third baseman, or you think that's a good thing they're trying to do right now by bringing in a established MVP guy to play third and move Camargo around?
Camargo, I can understand. Trust me, I can understand what the Braves front office sees in Camargo as him being more valuable to them, being a super utility player. Those guys are invaluable. I can definitely understand that, but I just personally don't think that we needed to spend $23 million on a 1-year rental, which is basically what it's going to amount to for Donaldson to be playing third base. Camargo showed that he can more than handle third base. If you ask me, I mean, he's even a better shortstop than he is a third baseman. Just my humble opinion, if we don't trade anybody, it wouldn't hurt my feelings at all to see the Braves move Dansby Swanson. I think that the trade that they got him in with Shelby Miller, and matter of fact, they actually raped the doggone the Diamondbacks in that trade, cost some people some jobs out there in Arizona.
Okay.
After that trade didn't work out. But no doubt about it, Camargo should definitely be the Braves. He could be the starting third baseman or shortstop.
Right.
For the Braves. Hands down.
I totally.
But again, I understand because the guy is a player.
Right.
I mean, the bottom line is the guy's a player. He can play anywhere, and that's a good thing. And if you follow baseball enough, then you know that super utility guys, those guys don't grow in trees.
Well, you know what, Mr. Henry?
I understand.
I ain't trying to cut you off on the Swanson Camargo, but the Braves got a lot of different pieces that I think are going to work because these kids came up through the system together. They learned how to win together. And last year you pretty much saw the potential that these youngsters can bring on a daily basis and compete at the major league level, which is hard to do, especially when you have youngsters. And they got guys like Freddie Freeman around them. They got Brian McCann back now, who's bringing his mentorship. Fontanevich is coming into his own after he came from the Astros. Newcomb is starting to gain confidence in his ability because when Newcomb first got over to the Braves from the Angels, they said that he really couldn't throw strikes, but he even made some pluses going on. And like I said, you got Acuna, who's gonna be a perennial all-star, and Albies and Swanson up the middle. And for me, those guys are strong up the middle. You got Inciarte in center, Swanson, Albies, and the catching core back there. And you got Freeman, the face of the franchise at first. And now they just added a valuable piece with Donaldson. Man, if these Braves get off the ground running, boy, them other teams better watch out. So how do you think the Braves are going to come out the gate? You think they're going to come out slow, going to come out hot, or how you think they're going to start the season?
I honestly don't know. And I think a lot of it has to do with starting pitching. I know we got a lot of people down, or they're slipping some pitchers down, or got in spring training for whatever reason, whether it's a shoulder or an elbow, whatever.
Right.
But, like all spring training, I heard that nobody, let's not forget about Toronto.
Right.
Julio is not just a throwaway player. We got heard about him this spring so far. Turns out I thought they were trying to trade him, and they probably were at around the trade that they did. He didn't pitch in the playoffs. I don't understand that one. But Newcomb, I can definitely see him probably being the starter, from day one, opening day.
Okay, over Fultonevich?
But yeah, I mean, because Fultonevich, all those other starters, you have to understand that those guys are hurt, or the Braves are slowing them down. They have some discomfort in their arms, with the shoulder, elbow, whatever. So the Braves are taking it real slow with them. Newton seems on that. From what I understand, taking all of his turns, whether it's a starter or whatever. So,
right.
And trust me, being just as I do, everybody likes to start as a starting pitcher, being a starter on opening day. But after that, it just basically falls on the rotation, so it really means nothing.
Right. Right.
As a starter, it really doesn't. But no, Fultonevich, and a couple of those other guys. I'll tell you what now, Lazara, that's the one. That's the wild card in this whole deal.
Who is it again?
That dude can pitch. Gohara.
Oh, Gohara.
The lefty.
I got you.
Yeah. The big lefty.
I think he was surprised.
That dude can pitch.
I think he was surprised too last year. He did well in AAA, and I think one problem that he had might have been was his weight issue, but I think he got control of that. But he does know how to pitch. And real quick, Mr. Henry, we got about 3 minutes left before the show is ending. If you could tell Braves fans that are out there listening to you now, one thing that the Braves are going to do this year, one thing they need to be looking out for, what would you leave the Braves fans with for 2019 this year?
I'm not sure, because and that's the thing. I'm a big Braves fan, and I'm not even sure what to expect. And we're in the middle of spring training right now, so maybe I have to call you back. Give me a couple of weeks to think about that and call you back, and I think that I'll definitely have a better handle on what I think, just giving you my opinion about what I think we ought to be looking for. What's going to be a strength, or what I feel like it's going to be a weakness for us this year.
Right.
And that's what I would do.
Well, Mr. Henry, you know what? I definitely would love to have you back on the show, and I'm going to take you up on that offer. I'm going to give you about a month into the season just so you can really give us some of your insight, because you sound like you work for Baseball Tonight right now as we speak. But you made some great valid points about the Braves this year. And on one thing I will say, the Braves is an exciting young team that's up and coming. They're hungry. They got a taste of what it feels like to win at the end of the season and not knowing that you're packing up going home after the last game. That's a huge difference. And we're looking forward to seeing great things from the Freemans, the Swansons, the Camargos, the NCRTs. But Mr. Henry, we appreciate you joining us tonight on the talk show. Say what you need to say, and you really said what you wanted to say tonight, and I think that was great. So we're gonna call it quits tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Henry, we thank you again from Phoenix, Alabama. We'll get you back on the show in about a month. Thanks for being on the show.
Hey, you wasn't good in road time.
All right, Mr. Henry, we'll see you soon, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we just finished our Friday, March 8, 2019, Say What You Need to Say sports talk show. Mr. Henry had a lot of things on his mind, especially about his 2019 Braves. So hopefully what he said comes to truth this year. Those Braves are scrappy. I used to be a coach in that organization, and those guys are set up really nicely right now, and I think they are going to make some runs on down the road and going to win a lot of ball games. Their pitching is stronger. Their position players are very good and young, vibrant, and they got that young core, and Freddie Freeman is leading the charge. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll end tonight's show. Don't forget to join us next week, next Monday at 8:15. And don't forget, subscribe on YouTube, on Facebook, leave your comments, and leave me a contact number so I can contact you to get you on the show so you can say what you need to say. Until next time, people, be blessed and have a good one.